Hey guys, I'm Melissa.
I'm Patty.
And we are El Efecto Podcast. So guys, first of all, we start this every single time, and we say this every single time, but thank you guys for the support. Thank you guys for
Thank you.
Yeah, continuing to give us positive feedback, and we're so excited for everything that's to come.
Yeah, like this is now our sixth episode. And
we have another guest today.
Yes, if you can't tell, we're in the studio again, so that means we have a special guest.
This person is very dear to my heart because she supported me in my business since day one, and I will never forget that. I'm so proud of her and everything she has accomplished so far. And we have CEO, founder, entrepreneur,
boss ass bitch.
Yes, of Angel City Market, Kenya. So welcome to El Efecto Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Right now, Melissa, when you were talking about like supporting you, it's so funny and interesting when like strangers support you because I had no idea who you were.
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah, no.
Like I did not know her.
I thought you guys knew each other from like back in the day.
No,
she
never
reached
met.
out to me. Yeah, she
This
reached
whole
out to
time,
me.
I thought you knew each other from like middle school.
No, never.
No, yeah.
So we have mutual acquaintances and friends. So I saw everyone posting about her new boutique and like follow Melissa, follow Melly's by Melissa. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I saw that she was local. And I was like, hey, you know, she's starting, I'm starting. Let's work together.
I remember like she reached out to me and I was like, oh my God, of course. Like, and since then I just took off.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it brings me back to
no,
all
we
the
didn't
time.
know each other.
Yeah.
That's
at all.
That's new for me. I literally thought you
Yeah.
guys knew each other. I think also because you're like, oh, this is her mom, this is her sister. And I don't know why. I think it's just the energy that you give.
I was about to say that.
Your sister, your mom are very welcoming. So that's why I felt like you guys knew each other forever.
Like your dad.
I was like, oh, that's one of Melly's friends.
I mean, now,
but like I just thought you were like
a
a childhood friend or something.
That's crazy. No. Like total stranger.
I love that.
Like we met when she got there.
Yeah. We're like, hi. Like, literally everything.
I would have never known.
Yeah.
I would have never, ever known.
We instantly clicked. And I think because of that too, I was like, oh my God, she really she's out here supporting me, reached out. So it meant everything. And just starting, like, I was like, oh my God.
I remember when you were like, oh my God, like, I think I'm going to do it. And I was like, period. She was like, I need your help. I was like, I'm there, bitch.
Yeah, so that's just how it went.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like the people that you don't know or are dearest to your heart or whoever you may make that connection with. But I feel like the people that I've grown the closest to are people that I either like saw a vision in them, something that resonated with me. And yeah, I mean, so far, those are the people that I still stay in touch with or that I work with now. So,
yeah.
So,
So, Kenya, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
No pressure, no pressure.
I know, right? Well, I was born in Mexico. I was born in Guadalajara, Mexico.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I know. You're going to learn so
I
much.
know.
Yeah,
I
I'm excited.
Yes, I was born in Guadalajara, Mexico. My parents brought me here when I was 11 months, so celebrated my first birthday here. Grew up in Lenox/Inglewood. You know, I grew up surrounded by mostly Latinos and people of color. Fast forward to high school, I left and I went to Carson. Well, not Carson High. It's called CAMS, but it's in the city of Carson. So that's kind of like where I got like my culture shock. But growing up, it's interesting because sometimes, you know, people identify as like first generation Latina, or you hear like first generation this, first generation that. It's interesting to be undocumented because you're not quite neither. You're not first generation because you're not from here.
Yeah.
But you're also not from where you're from.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like I'm too American to be Mexican, but then I'm also like too Mexican to be American.
Cue that Selena
right?
clip.
Literally.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like I think I embody more of like a Chicana or like a first generation, but I can't claim it necessarily, you know? So it's a very interesting life to live and like shoes to fill. So growing up, that was me not really knowing what being undocumented was. I didn't even really know that that's what I was until I had to find out, you know? And I just think it's such a taboo, and it's something that everyone like shies away from and is scared to talk about. Thankfully, like then 2012, DACA came into the picture, or the talks of it. And I was like, I was part of the first group that was able to get DACA. So ever since then, I've been able to work and drive and do all the good things that every person should be able to do. And so I carry a lot of privilege in that sense, and I definitely recognize it. And it's brought so many opportunities to me. But growing up as a child, you know, I carry on all these identities. You know, when I grew up, I always like was on the thicker side, and so I've always struggled with like gaining and losing weight and like my self-confidence and identity. And
Girl, you preaching over here.
you know,
I feel that.
And it's like you're just never happy with what you look like, you know. But then there's also another part of me where I grew up wanting and being like so goal driven, you know, and being said, no, you can't because you don't have a social security number, or like, you know, you can't do this because of this law and stuff like that. So, you know, that kind of builds like a very tough skin, or, you know, it kind of forces you to like build a wall in your own like mind and life. So I kind of like grew up in this I think in middle school I had like a women empowerment club or something like that, or high school. I forgot when. But, you know, I grew up in this very like, I'm strong enough. Like, I don't need anyone. Like, don't feel pity. Don't, you know, so I never talked about my struggles literally till this day. Like, it's hard for me, because I never want to make anyone feel pity for me, or I never want to feel pity from anyone.
Yeah.
So, you know, my life has been very privileged in the sense where like I've never been without a home. I've never been without a meal. You know, haven't had luxuries growing up, or didn't have luxuries growing up, but you know, I definitely see what others have struggled with, and I'm like, I have so much privilege in that sense, you know. But you know, growing up, I do remember like being afraid of the police, and like my family like telling us, you know, not being able to like drive because, you know, we couldn't get a driver's license. And I mean, now it's so different, right? The laws have changed, thankfully. And my life has changed. So I don't struggle in that sense. But growing up, like, who is Kenya? Kenya is someone that like grew up as a child, like being told that like we had to hide like who we were and our status and like where we come from, because it's like you never know who will be out there to harm you. So I've always had that in my mind. Like, you never know who can take you in. You never know who can snitch on you. And so growing up thinking like that has been a very hard like unlearning process for me, because it's like I never know who's going to stab me in the back. I never know who's going to like punch first. So I feel like growing up, I've always been the one to like throw the punch, or, all right, you're going to like hurt me, I'm going to hurt you first, you know? And
I'm like, you sound like me.
and it's just, there's so much trauma in that. And it's just like, it's so deep. But I think that the Kenya now is someone that has finally like learned how to accept my flaws, which has allowed me to accept growth and like just be like, okay, like I don't have to be reactive. I don't have to not trust anyone. I don't have to be strong. Like, it's okay to ask for help, you know, and I could never.
Can you say it one more time and look at Melly when you
like,
say that?
literally ask for help. Like,
No.
cry. Like, like, ask for help. Like, yell it. Like, text it. Whatever you have to do. But I'm learning how to do that. And I'm learning how to be selfish. And I'm, like, the biggest giver, you know? So right now I'm in a place where I recently got married.
I
know.
Congrats.
And honestly, I hate to sound like this, but you know, when you have a really supportive partner, it allows you to find yourself, you know, and it sucks only because I don't want to come off as like I need him to be better, but I kind of did, because I needed someone to like be my rock and like check me and like do all the things that no one did for me. And thankfully, I'm in a space where I'm happy. I'm like, I feel fulfilled, and I don't feel like I have to like work harder. And I don't feel like, okay, now I have to do something bigger. Now I have to like make more money. Now I have to like do this. Now I have to like lose this weight. Like I'm kind of like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I love that. Dude, I'm over here like,
Yeah, that was a lot.
because, like, oh my God. Literally, when you were talking, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
You're like,
Because,
that's me.
no,
Yeah.
100%. I feel like a lot of what you're saying is stuff that, one, we're dealing with, we talk about.
Yeah.
But the fact that you are so vulnerable and, like,
Yeah.
you can tell that you have.
I told myself driving here, I was like, just let it out.
No, but you can tell that, like,
Yeah.
you have this strength and you're so self-aware, but it's because you allowed yourself to kind of like understand kind of why you are the way you are.
Yeah.
And kind of don't. And
It's hard.
Yeah, and but you didn't let it define you. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, this is just how my life went, but that doesn't mean that like I'm put in this box. Like
Yeah.
I'm undocumented, but look, that's not gonna hold me back.
Right. Right. And actually, I was just talking to my hairstylist about this. I was like, you know what? Like, my life has never been better.
Oh,
But
I love that.
But everything around me is like deteriorating. Like everything's breaking down. My life is literally going into shambles. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's like probably the worst time in like my surrounding. Everything's going wrong. Everyone is not doing well. Like, all the people dear and near to my heart are not okay. But yet, me, myself, like Kenya, has never been better. And so I think that, sometimes it's really hard, but you have to be selfish. Sometimes you have to leave that relationship. You have to move out. You have to do all these things. Get super uncomfortable. And I think I went through like a whole year last year of just like being stuck in this rut where it's like a breakthrough. You're like, no matter what is around me, as long as I have this like inner peace, I'm going to be okay.
That's what it is. People always think that like they find happiness, they feel like it's a destination, but you really find happiness within yourself.
Yeah.
And that's
and it's not always pretty.
No.
Yeah.
Not always pretty. And like, I will have a day where it's like, what am I even doing? Why am I doing this and all that stuff? But, in a nutshell, I guess I call it almost my personality. Like, I am undocumented and I am raised in Inglewood. And so, it's like people always assume this picture of me, or like the moment I were to say like, oh, I wasn't born in Mexico, but you don't look like it. And I'm like, what am I supposed to look like?
Literally.
And so
No me miras el nopal aquí.
yeah, right. And then it's just like, okay. And then, so I grew up very rooted in traditions and, I love all of it. Like my culture. But, I guess I'm also someone that like just always wants to learn something new, So I went like a lot of my time in life has been spent in school, which I kind of regret sometimes. But, like I think it was also who, I grew up being, where it was like I have to prove to everyone that I can do it. And I have to prove something to the world. Like, I don't know who, but something and someone, which is not a good way to go about life. But, it pushed me to get through community college. It pushed me to get my bachelor's at Long Beach. And then I got my master's at UCLA. And then I did all these things. And I don't think I did it with the right purpose. Because I feel like I just did it to please and I did it to make others feel proud, when the only person I had to stay true to was myself, But yeah, that's kind of who I am.
I love it. No, and then everything that you're saying is crazy how Patty said, like, look at Melly when you're saying that, because I see so much of you and that in me. 100%. Like, this year was a year that I told Patty, I was like, last year was really, really hard for me. So this year was a year that I was like, okay, this is about me. This year is about me and being selfish and doing what I have to do. And she always says, like, you're growing when you're putting yourself or like in uncomfortable situations.
When you're uncomfortable, those are moments of growth.
And you just said, like, you have to be uncomfortable. And we just said, I hate being vulnerable. I'm the type of girl that I'm like, no, hide your emotions, hide everything. And this is a year where I'm like, if that's what I have to do to like finally move on, then that is what I'm going to do. So hearing all of that you're just saying, I'm like, oh my God, okay, so maybe this is what I need to break through to finally be happy. Like,
Yeah.
So I'm like,
don't cry,
because
because I'm gonna cry.
Girl,
Like, I will cry.
I don't know if you saw me when you were talking. I was like,
I have to look that
yeah,
way.
me
'cause
too.
I'm like,
I know. You were talking. I was like, we're not even like, we're like 15.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm like trying
Don't
not
do
to look.
it.
Okay, hold on. Let me take a sip because Manny's already.
I'm like,
Oh my God, you guys. I'm not gonna cry.
Oh
I know.
my gosh,
I'm
like
not
my
gonna cry. I'm
makeup.
crying.
I'm the Chiona here.
Good thing my makeup's already messed up, so it's okay.
No, but literally, I feel like if this isn't another sign, this is literally like a in your face. Like,
yeah.
And it's so funny
because
because I was actually telling my friend, I was like, because she's very much like you, Patty. Like, she's just very like, just like the energy, and I feel like I'm more like you, Melissa. And it's funny because we were like, oh my God, that's kind of funny. Like,
Yeah.
we resemble
Yeah.
certain personalities. But yeah, it's like, again, it's like, it's not perfect though. Like, you are going to have a day when you're like, you maybe feel worse than your very worst day. And that's okay too, you just have to push through.
Yeah.
And
it will get better. Like at the end of the day, it's gonna get better. There's always a light at the end of every tunnel, and it's all about perspective.
yeah.
Like if you say like, oh my gosh, my life is the worst, like everything so bad happens to me, you're manifesting that for yourself.
Yeah, it's like that good luck.
I'm
what
a
is
lucky
it?
girl.
Lucky
everything,
girl.
everything,
Yeah.
everything works out in my favor.
Yeah.
But it's so true.
Honestly.
Positive self-talk. Sal mentioned that when he was here. You have to have positive self-talk, and you just have to think of your life in a different way and believe it. And slowly, you're just gonna
Almost
it.
be delusional.
Yeah.
Like, this is great.
Yeah.
My life is perfect.
It's called character development.
Yeah,
You
right?
act like you are the main character in your film
We
of
are
life.
the main character.
Yes.
It's hard. It's hard, because I like talking. Like, I feel comfortable. You guys make me feel comfortable, but I definitely am not the type of person to like put myself out there, So when you guys did reach out, I was like, this is my sign. Like, I just always don't like to talk about myself. I like to talk about others or things or maybe things I do, but not about me, and I think that's also something. It's like, I personally don't go to therapy. I think we all should, but I personally don't, not yet. And so I think that, having someone, at least someone where you can just like talk to and be yourself. And at least for me, it's like, I'm never going to hold a tear. Like, I'm just not. And sometimes I get criticized or laughed for it. Like,
Same.
and it's like, oh, siempre chilla. So like they don't take it seriously anymore. And that's okay. But it's like, I refuse to feel angry. I refuse to hate anything or anyone. Like, I just don't. I don't have time to like carry that energy in me. Like, it's like, for what?
Yeah.
What is the reason?
What, like, no.
Yeah.
I refuse.
Exactly.
I refuse. Like,
I love that.
I could block people. I could, if you do me dirty, like, okay, cool.
This is where we're similar because I'm quick to cut anyone out.
Any
I
ties.
don't care what the label is. I do not care.
Not anymore. The old me would have tried to mend the situation, but I can count with my fingers a couple people that I've just blocked.
You're like, that's it.
I know it sounds rude and selfish, but it's like, you don't do me any service anymore. Like, your energy.
I say this all the time.
You're like, if I'm giving you 100% of me anytime you need it and I get nothing, why am I here?
If you're not adding any type
Any
of
value,
to my life, and I said this last time, access to me is a privilege. And once we realize that, like, we are the prize, our time, our energy is sacred, then you start to realize, okay, like, who am I really gonna like share myself with?
And let in, yeah. And ironically, like, I never really realized that I am kind of a sucky friend. Like,
How so?
Yeah, I'm like,
I know, I never really realized it, but I think it's because I surrounded myself perhaps with people that, I don't know, I maybe began to embody what they did, or I'm not sure, where I was like, oh, that's okay to do. Like, friends do that, and it's fine. And it's not until like recently that I've built some really strong friendships that are genuine and real, where they've checked me and they've been like, you know what, Kenya, like I waited till, I like got over it, but like X, Y, and Z was not okay for you to do. And like, that's not what a friend does. And I'm like,
You're like, what?
Yeah.
and I was like, I mean, I felt that, but like it was done to me. So,
Yeah.
it's not an excuse, but I was like, you're right. So, sometimes people that you surround yourself with, you start to embody in very weird ways. And you just got to go.
What's that saying? It's like, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you
who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Literally.
Wow.
That was,
Dang.
I know.
I'm like,
that was
okay,
really
that's
good.
a wrap. No, I'm just kidding. That was so
Literally.
good.
We're all going to therapy.
I know, we're hand in hand all together. Oh, that
Oh
was
my God.
so good.
Yeah, I mean, our next one was just pretty much like, who were you before Angel City? But like
Yeah, you
Yeah.
we
kinda
were
touched
like,
on that.
like, who is Kenya? And you touched on it, and like, that was so good.
Yeah, I guess like the only thing I would add is like I was always a rule follower. I kind of still am. It's a hard thing to not do, but like I've always been a people pleaser and a rule follower. And I think that career wise, I was a third grade teacher, so it's like I was very like by the book. Like I literally was a person to like Google search like most stable career, or like how to, like I was like, oh, I mean, teachers don't make much, but when you retire, you're good, and I was just very like cookie cutter. Like I just want what everyone wants. I like literally type in basic and like that was me, like literally. And I still am a little, like I'm very like, I just want to be secure. I just want to be good. And I'm okay with that, just being comfortable and like having that security. And it wasn't till my husband, Danny, where he was just like, but why? But like, why not?
Yeah.
But like, if you like that, do it. You'll figure it out. And I would be like, no, but like, what about this?
Yeah.
Like, what about that? And like, what if this like goes south?
Thinking
and
of
like
every like negative outcome.
everything.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay.
He's like,
So do you
"Don't
deal
do
with it?
And then I was like, you don't get it.
Yeah.
And, he even lived a more privileged life, And so he's just like, and I was like, and my reaction was always like, someone always had your back. I have to figure it out. And then it wasn't until he was like, I got you. Like, if you can't, like, we'll figure it out. And it's like, okay, fine. And that's when I decided to do this full time. Yeah. And here I am. And I can never, like, I'm like, how was I even a teacher? Like, no interest or passion there. It was just like, once I was in there, I felt stuck. And I was like, I have a whole master's on it. How am I just going to leave it, But sometimes you just got to go.
Yeah. And then how long ago did that happen?
When I left my teaching job?
Yeah.
2020, or like we still had like the pandemic stuff going on. It was like 2021 or I left my teaching job.
Super recent.
Yeah, 2021.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I left the summer before starting the new school year. I was like, I can't. Sorry.
And you took a chance on yourself.
And
look what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, but it could have, and again, my mind goes there, right?
You're
I'm
still
like,
it could have gone
wrong.
Yeah.
And it almost, but now every time I meet someone, I'm like, just do it. I think if I were to go back, and it's something that I've looked into now, I'm like, now that my life is changing, I'm like, I want to learn again. I'm like, always like, I just want to learn more and I want to get better. Not necessarily like, oh, I'm not good enough, but just like, I just want to get better at what I'm doing because I like it, and so.
And knowledge is power.
Yeah. And so I, right now, I'm looking into like either having like a part-time or like going back to school or getting some kind of certificate that like puts me, because I have no experience in marketing. I have no experience in business management. So it's like literally everything that I do, I taught myself. And that's also difficult because you also don't know what you're doing wrong. And you don't necessarily know how to grow. So it's like at some point I'm only learning as much as I'm teaching myself. And so I definitely want to get out of my comfort zone and learn a little more in order to make myself grow. And I can't do that. You can't do that by yourself when you don't know, like genuinely.
In the
So-
words of Melly, I respect that.
Yes, I'm like, if it requires me to go back to school, I'm okay with it because now I know what interests me.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I feel like every answer, I'm just like, wow. I'm like so fascinated with just your story. Like, again, like I didn't know what to expect from this episode, but in the little time we've been together, I'm literally like, oh my gosh, I see so much of myself in your story. And I'm just like, wow, truly an inspiration.
I know, and it's crazy because it's like we see each other in you. I'm like, what?
Like there's parts when you're talking, I'm like, ooh, that is me. And then there's parts where I'm like,
She's like, oh,
that's
her.
her. But what do you like to do for fun? Like us outside of like work, what is your like, okay, it's me time. This is what I want to do.
That question sucks because I have such a hard time answering two questions. What do you do for fun? And what are your talents? Like, I feel like I don't have any talents. Like,
Girl,
genuinely.
we could name your
I'm
talents
like,
for
girl.
you.
But I'm like, I wish I could say like, oh, I play the violin, or like,
Oh.
like,
Yeah.
oh, I know how to code, or I don't know,
Yeah.
something crazy, right? For fun, honestly, I live a pretty boring life. Like, I genuinely do. Like, I am a very big homebody. I love to be home.
Same.
I love to binge watch. Like,
What are you watching
Yeah, I was
right
about
now?
to say.
I loved Georgia and Ginny.
Oh, yeah, Ginny and Georgia. Yeah, yeah,
Ginny
yeah.
and Georgia.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go. I had to rewatch it though because Danny was interested, and
Oh.
I was like, "All right, fine." So I watched like season 1 and 2. So good. New Amsterdam was really good. It kind of gave me like what was that one? The one that never ends. Grey's Anatomy.
Oh.
It gave me like Grey's Anatomy vibes, but like
100%.
I kind of like it better.
Yeah, I just started that one. I started it,
Unpopular
like, 2 days
opinion.
ago.
I like it better.
I'm gonna keep watching
I've
it
never
then.
watched Grey's Anatomy because there's too many damn seasons.
there is a lot of seasons.
I can't.
And I just feel like some are long, and New Amsterdam's like fast and good. I like it.
I think I'm gonna start it.
Yeah, it's really good. What else am I watching? Danny and I started watching. It's like this dog one on Hulu.
In the dark.
Oh, a dog. Oh.
Cesar Milan or something like that. Yeah, because
We're like in the dark.
our little one, she's crazy. So he's like, oh, you have to like hold on to the leash, but like not too tight. You have to be calm. And I'm like, okay. So I watched that with him because he likes it. I don't know. There's just a couple really random stuff. Like you look at our Netflix and it's like no personality. It's like a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
What else? I like to make jewelry for fun.
Oh.
Yeah. Like I really, we used to sell it and just like, we would just like buy and sell. But I've gotten into like the customizing and the making. I kind of suck at like promoting it because there's only so much you can do. And sometimes people place orders and I'm like,
You're like, hold on.
just kidding,
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like, I don't know. It's therapeutic. Like I like the process. I like making things.
Yeah.
I'm very crafty in that sense. But I'm not creative. So it's kind of like it's challenging because it's like I like the doing of it if you tell me what to do, but like the creation of it, I'm like, oh,
Like coming up with the concept.
Yes, that part. Lately, I've been really interested in creating our flyers. So if they suck a little bit, it's because I'm making them. But like I'm interested. I'm like, ooh, designing's cool, and it's like I've always been like very like rigid, like, oh, it has to be symmetrical. And so like designing flyers has like pushed me to be like, no, put that on top of that and like layer it and bold it and like bring it up front and all these crazy things where I'm like, it's not the same on the other side, but so I've been interested in doing that for like the past month. And then actually I took a balloon class, those like fancy balloon garlands.
Stop.
We just posted it on Instagram on our story. I created like this huge balloon garland at our event yesterday. And it's really cool. So now I know how to do balloons, like those like
wow.
fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know how to do that now. I took a class. And so yeah, I really like it actually. I really like doing balloon stuff. Next up, I want to learn how to make those like really pretty floral like
Oh,
arrangements.
Mhm.
So I like crafty stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm also doing Porto's decorations. I don't know if you guys go to Porto's in Downey.
Yeah.
I mean,
sometimes.
yeah, like
Sometimes,
it's-
okay.
yeah.
We'll keep an eye out because like on the outside, they have like different photo op areas, and
Oh.
so like I decor that for them every like season. So
Oh,
right now it's like
wow.
yeah, right now it's like Valentine's Day,
Yeah.
and then I did winter, and then what was it, like a pumpkin patch?
Oh my
so-
god.
Send us pictures.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
insert
yeah.
them.
Oh yeah, I'll send
Yeah,
them.
that's so
Yeah,
cool.
so I guess that's what I do for fun. Just
I
very
l-
crafty things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I love how everything kind of ties back to kind of like your business.
What I'm doing. Yeah. And that's the one thing. If I can give anyone a piece of advice, it's like find hobbies and find what you love to do, but then find a way to tie it back. And I know it's going to sound terrible, but find it back to a way where it makes you money.
Mhm.
Because my goal is to build generational wealth. And I say this every single day to myself. Like when I'm tired, I'm like, nope, you got to work. You got to work. Because, you know, like I see other cultures and they're just so like their family and their kids and their grandkids, like they're so well off and they
Yeah.
just know and they have the resources. And it's like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Like I at least want to start that. So, you know, that was my mentality. It's like, why am I paying? And don't hate me, Belen. Like I love my balloon artist. But I even told her in all transparency, like I still hire her on whenever I have an event. But I told her too, it's like sometimes I don't have the budget. And it's like I still want this. So I'm not going to not have it. I'm going to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
And whenever I don't have to do it and I could hire out like 100%. But yeah, I'm like, every hobby that I do, I'm like, okay, ooh, this is cool. I like it. And it's going to benefit me.
Yeah.
Because then you can't do it all. You know, I wish I could say like, oh, my hobby's surfing, but like, A, I don't know how to swim. And B, it's like, I'm in a journey also where it's like, yes, self-care 100%, but I want to be focused because I don't want to work for the rest of my life. Like you know, unfortunately as an entrepreneur, you don't have that retirement, right? So it's like right now I have these goals. And so any hobby that I do, it's like, yeah, I like it and I'm having fun, but it's going to bring me something. And I've seen a difference. Like it kind of helps you stay motivated and it helps you feel excited. Because sometimes what you do, even though you love it, is like boring.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, oh my God. And it feels a little dreadful.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Because nothing is going to be exciting 24/7.
Yep.
But find new ways to like make it exciting.
Yeah. Get yourself like reignite that like spark.
Yeah. And like just get creative with it. So yeah, balloons and different crafty stuff.
She does it all.
I know.
I know. Sometimes people will be like, oh, so what about this? Oh, yeah, and I do that too. And they're like, oh.
See, those are talents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
Well, I guess you answered our
The
next
next
question,
one,
like
yeah.
what something people don't know about you. I feel like those are really good fun
Yeah.
facts.
You see, and I always suck at fun facts. I'm like,
You
No,
just
you
gave
just
us a
said it all.
list. You gave us
Yeah.
a list. Like, did you not see us when you said I do the balloon? We were like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And those are hard. I've tried. So I think it was my mom's birthday, like not last year, but 2
yeah.
years ago. I had tried to make one and I started with the kit. I was on YouTube. Girl, it's hard. I was like, it wasn't staying up. The balloons, one of them was like
This
little,
little.
the other one. I'm like, oh my God. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I know it's hard.
Yeah. And
patience,
don't buy
patience.
Amazon balloons.
That's
what
what
it
that was my problem.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. And then I have like the little inflatable thing and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, this one's too big. This one's not going round. It's like a weird shape. And I'm like, oh my God, I give up. Like I was just like,
I'll
it's
teach
going to
you.
look
I'll
like
teach
that.
you. Yeah, so yeah, I guess I did answer it. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next one, these are just going to be fun, some girl questions. So let's start with, what are 3 things that make you smile?
My dog.
Oh,
Yeah, I've never had a pet before. And then
neither.
Get one.
My parents, I live at home. My parents do not like animals.
Same.
So I have to
how my
wait till I
life
leave.
was. It's a lot of work, but like no matter what kind of day you're having, like she just brings like so much energy and joy into my life.
What kind of dog is she?
She's a Pomeranian. She's
Like she's this trouble.
she's
Did I mend that or what?
Oh yeah, like
What's her sign?
right? I don't know. What is it? January 21st.
Aquarius?
Is she an Aquarius? I don't even know what that means.
Capricorn, Aquarius? I don't know.
No, she's not a Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn.
Oh, she's Aquarius.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I don't know what that means.
Me either.
Yeah.
I guess I'll look it up.
I know. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's see.
What else? Makes me smile or happy?
Makes you smile.
Okay. Because I see that differently. Makes me smile. What else makes me smile? I don't know. Wait. I know people are gonna hate me. Like, what about me? No, but I think like I'm trying to think like just smile. Like, what makes me smile? Lately I've been. I mean, not lately. Every single day I go on TikTok for way too long, and
yes.
I see these videos of like people helping kids or families in other countries, and I'm like, that is such a goal of mine one day to like be able to just help. And so like anytime I see someone helping someone, it makes me happy, yes, but like an instant smile. Like it doesn't matter like what it is. It could be like on the phone or in person. Like that to me, I'm just like I don't know. I love seeing people helping each other. Yeah. So that always puts a smile on my face. Yeah, I mean everything else is kind of cliche. Like I guess my husband, right? But
he's waiting for you to say
I
his
know.
name.
I'm just like, oh yeah, I am too. But yeah, I guess and also like I don't take compliments very well. So like when someone's nice or when someone does something nice to me, I'm like, oh thanks.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, all right.
Gotta go.
You know? I just don't take it well. Like,
Yeah.
I hate birthdays.
Same.
Like,
Same.
I hate.
Do not sing happy birthday to me.
Right?
Like, I do not
What
like
do I
it.
do with
Like,
myself?
We are always like, if we go somewhere and they bring, I'm like, don't sing.
Like, I will kill you.
I'm like, do not sing to me.
Don't sing to me.
Sing to me, Paulo. Do not sing to me.
Like, just hum. Just don't look at me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Don't look
Just
at
say
me.
happy birthday and that's it.
Yeah, text it. Like, even if it right here, and then I'll smile.
Yeah.
Then. But yeah, I guess it's a little uncomfortable for me. And smiling also, like, I don't know, sometimes, and I have to work on it actually. Now that I think about it, because Danny's very like, oh, good morning, how are you? You know, and I'm like,
Yeah.
weird. Like,
Why are you so happy?
yeah, like, what if people don't want to talk to you?
Yeah.
And then he's like, that's fine. And I'm like, okay. But like I have to work on that. Like I feel like I always like walk with like my head down. And I feel like I always walk like not present. I'm just always on my phone. Like even when I'm walking now, I'm just kind of like minding my own business. So I think like I have to smile more. And I hate that like, oh, you should smile more. Like coming from a guy, right?
I will pop off.
Oh my
Same.
I'm like, who are you to tell me to
I'm
smile?
just like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
You know?
Ill.
And I don't know. I guess I have to work on that. Not a lot of things make me
It's
smile, I
definitely,
guess.
it's funny that
A lot of things make me happy. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like I can feel happy, but I guess like just the smiling, like
it's uncomfortable.
it's a little uncomfortable.
But it's definitely a trauma response, and
Oh,
it's like how we're
100%.
raised.
Yeah.
Because as Latinos, just as like the cultura,
yeah,
we're taught to kind of don't draw attention to yourself.
yeah,
You go in, do your job, you come out, you don't ask questions, you keep your head down.
yeah.
We live in fear. Like
Oh.
we're a scared culture, and it's literally rooted into us. Sometimes we don't even realize it.
Unfortunately,
Yeah, until we like talk about it, or when we're
We're-
like, oh shit.
yeah, no, 100%. I think we're very scared, and I think we're full of hate too.
Oh, 100%.
And so I do need to work on it. I need to be friendlier, I guess. I don't know. And it's not that I'm not friendly, but I think
Yeah.
it's just like this front, I guess, that
We're constantly like not in attack mode, but like
Mhm.
we're very like we're like protecting ourselves.
Mhm. It's like a
always.
guard.
Yes, that's the word.
Yeah, and I guess like it's a layer I kind of have to work on. Yeah.
In due time, in due time.
Yeah, because I am friendly and I am approachable, but maybe not right away.
That's me.
But it is something you can work on. Like, there's nothing wrong. Oh my God, we live in this like high rise in downtown Long Beach right now, and so like we live on the top floor, and so it takes forever. Well, that doesn't take forever, but like if it stops and there's a lot of people in the elevator, I'm like,
oh yeah,
I'm like, I'll wait.
like what do I do? You know, and I'm like, you know, like I don't know, and I it sounds stupid because it's like I'm around people all the time, but I don't know if I have social anxiety. I sometimes just claim it just because I don't know what else to claim, you know. But I'm like, unless they say hi, I'm not gonna say hi.
Yeah, I feel like it's different when it's in your personal life versus your professional life.
Oh yeah, I know how to switch it.
Yes,
yeah.
At work I am on. Good morning.
You
blah,
talked
blah,
about
blah.
that. Yes,
Yeah,
I resonated with that 100%.
At home, in my personal life, I'm like, don't talk to me. Like you look at me, I'm like,
what? Yeah.
RBF all day.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's something we can work on, though, you know, because it definitely is just a trauma trigger and a response. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't be smiling every day. Like, why not, you know? Not too much because then we don't want wrinkles. But yeah, I'm like, I know I need to work on it. Like, today we went on a morning walk, and I'm just like, I don't want to come off as this person. Like, I don't want anyone to be like, oh, he has a rude wife, you know? Like, because I mean, I can be if that's what I need to be. Don't get me wrong. You know, don't get it twisted. I can be. But that's not who I want to be. And that's not who I am. And so I think smiling more, and I think it goes back to vulnerability, right? Like, I just have to be okay with, it's like, it's okay to be soft and be nice. Yeah. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, you know? And
it's not weakness. And I think
exactly
we have been, like, brainwashed to think that, like, any type of emotion, especially as a woman, it's seen as weakness.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, I was drinking. So, the next one I have is where is your happy place, or what is your happy place?
Right away home.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, but you know, it's taken me a while, and I think like, did you guys move out?
No,
you
not
still live
yet.
at home? Okay. So I've moved out of my parents' house a couple times during college. Then I moved back in. Then I moved back out. Then, you know, I've been all over the place. But it doesn't really feel real, I think, until you like move in with your partner and you're like, this is it. At least like our contract says it, you know? Yeah. And I struggled a little bit with it because I don't know. I guess I thought of home as like a place, you know, and when I say home, it's just like the people that are around me, and you know, I am very happy where I am right now, and I'm very lucky to be with someone that genuinely makes me happy. And you know, so honestly, like we could be living in like the oldest place ever that, you know, I've always said like I grew up having to shower and like being okay with cold ass water because my mom was like washing the dishes at the same time, and that's just how I grew up. And it was like okay, or like damn, I flushed and like my bad, you know. And like I grew up that way. Like I never had these fancy things that thankfully we can afford now, but I would be okay. I would give that up 100%. Like to me, just having the people that I love the most around me is all I need. So like you know, going out, even though we live like in downtown Long Beach and there's so many clubs and bars and all this stuff, like we actually went out for the first time in a long time, like last weekend. We went to the new Calaveras.
Oh.
We're like,
we know Calaveras.
Yeah. We're like, let's go for brunch. It'll be fun, you know? And then we like are walking in downtown Long Beach. And I mean, we both met in Long Beach. So like all of our friends and stuff are there. And so we're walking down Pine, and then we bump into some old friends from college. And then they like shouted us out. And then we're like, oh, let's just hang out. And they're celebrating a birthday. It turned into like a 14-person reservation at Yard House that night.
Oh my God.
And it was great, you know? Yeah. But again, it's like, I don't think, you know, what what makes me, or what place makes me the happiest is like an actual place. And I know it sounds so cliche and corny, but I don't, and I feel like I've always been this way. And I tell people, like, I kind of hate this about myself. Like growing up, I never I never fangirled. Like I never like was in love with like, Taylor Lautner or Chris Brown when he was
Yeah.
yeah, he was cute, and like, yeah, I can admit that. And on my binder, I would have those stickers and like the RBD, like bubble gum stickers and all that. But like, I could also live without it, you know. And so I've never been the type of girl to like tie myself to something. So like, I can't tell you like, oh, I love the beach. Like I do, but I don't because I don't like the sand. You know, like I'm just like, I'm cool with it though.
Yeah.
Like I'll go to the park, I'll go to the beach. I can kind of do whatever.
Yeah.
I also think it's how I grew up. Like I had to mold myself to be okay being wherever I needed to be. So I think my happy place is kind of being with my people. And I will say I love food though. Like, yeah, like some good food, some good street food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's your favorite?
Where or what?
Either or.
Where? I think the taco stands in Lenox, like on Lenox. And what's the other street? Hawthorne? I don't know. I suck at streets, but that's kind of what I grew up eating, just tacos in the middle of the street, and they're bomb.
Yeah.
Tacos de tripa. I know, unpopular opinion, but so good.
Those are my mom's favorite. Yeah. I've never like I get scared, but she's like, no, you have to. Like
There's
they're
some
so
ones
good.
that are so good on Manchester Avenue, like in South Central, Inglewood borderline.
Oh, is it the estilo de Tijuana or no?
Maybe.
I can't, because there's some in South Central. Oh my god, the
They're
tacos
just so
are
good.
so good.
So good. I mean, we had tacos at our wedding, so I'm just
I love that.
yeah, I'm like, why not? You know? So yeah, I think that would be my favorite. We're big foodies. We recently went to Seattle. And like the first thing, and it's funny because Danny was like, okay, so you'll plan Monday and I'll plan Tuesday. And I'm like, okay. And like the first thing I do is go on TikTok and look up like places to eat in Seattle. And then he's like, no, we can do like other things too. I'm like, oh yeah, huh? Like, there's stuff to do, not just eat. But yeah, I think traveling is really cool. I know that's not a place, but I think like being on an airplane or in the airport is something I was never able to do, but I love traveling. Yeah. And so like I know people hate the airport and the craziness, but like I love it because I'm like, this is what I always wanted, you know, and like we lately have been traveling a lot, like very local, like to Vegas, to Seattle, to, you know, not too far. But I love traveling. Like I love being in an airport. I love being on the airplane. I don't like when it lands.
Yeah.
But I love being on the go. I love like the actual feeling of like being in the seat and being like, I'm in one place right now and in 2 hours I'm gonna be somewhere completely different. So I like being on the road. I like road trips. I guess like the transition of being in different places. I really, really enjoy it. And I'm in my process of since we're married now. So I will hopefully be able to travel internationally very soon. Oh. So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe my answer will change. Maybe I just haven't found that place yet, you know? Every time I go somewhere, I mean, Hawaii, I think, has been the only place where I'm like, wow, this is beautiful. And not been like, oh, I can't wait to go home.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm like, home's better. But then again, maybe I just haven't found it yet.
Yeah. So this next one's super random. Do you believe in ghosts? And have you ever experienced anything like paranormal?
Ghosts. You know, I want to say yes. You know, probably not in like the traditional way that we think of ghosts, but I tell my family all the time. So my great grandpa passed away, rest in peace, a couple years ago. And so he lived in Mexico, but he passed away here. Oh. And he passed away in one of my uncle's house. He used to live in Culver City, okay? And so it's very close. So I remember we went. And this is my great grandpa. So, I mean, I knew him, but like, it's not the same, you know? He was really healthy and everything was cool. Like, he just had a natural death. But I never really like knew much about him. Like I knew some things, very surface level. Anyway, long story short, he passes away. We all go. We're all just, mourning his death or hanging out together, being there together as a family. And I remember I was younger, so we go outside, and then I remember there was like a swing, or I was doing something outside with maybe myself or cousins. I don't remember. But what I do remember, and I'll never forget, is I kept hearing someone whispering the name Adela. But I have a cousin, she's my cousin. I have a family member that her name's Adela. So I was like, like, I guess she's here. But, like, she wasn't there. So I was like, maybe she's here. And she's, like, close to my age. So I was like, oh, cool, Adela's here. But no, and then I remember looking around, and I was like, this is so weird. There's no one here. Mm-hmm. And then I remember I was like, what the hell? So I went inside, and then I was like, is Adela here? And they're like, no. I was like, that's really weird. Mm-hmm. Moving forward, it wasn't even that day. I didn't think of it. I was just like, that's weird, right?
Yeah.
That was my great-grandpa's wife's name.
Oh,
shut
God.
Yeah. That was my grandma's mom's name. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And I never knew that. I never knew that. I don't know if I really heard it.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, no.
Yeah, because
like for that to like stick.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, for you to be like little and
because my great grandma passed away when my grandma was like 15. So it's like I didn't even know her.
Yeah.
My mom didn't even know her.
Yeah.
So it's
like how would you?
How would I? No one has ever shared her name with me. So I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That was
yeah, that is.
We like love stuff like that, so
we're like
have to,
write that
we
question
have to put
down.
that in there.
Yeah, like, and other than that, my family at my parents' house, they have experienced some things that are really creepy. I haven't yet, but yeah, I definitely think that there are souls that come back either to haunt you or to take care of you. Mm-hmm. That's your karma, though.
Yeah.
That part.
Yeah.
But I do think there's souls that come back and that are not done yet with whatever they needed to do. So yeah, I do believe in them, and I did, and yeah, that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel scared though.
Yeah, and maybe that's like a sign to like let you guys know, like I'm with her.
Yeah.
Like maybe the first thing that popped in my head, I was like, maybe they like reunited.
Yeah.
And you just happened to like witness it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was like, there's no way that someone's out there just
calling.
That was like when our grandpa passed in 2012. He passed on 12/12/12. And it was like the Saturday before he passed. My grandma stayed with him in the hospital. And the year prior, my tia on my dad's side passed away. And my mom's side and my dad's side, they've known each other forever, damn near connected. There's probably a bloodline, like a few generations mixed.
That's funny.
But when our abuelito was in the hospital, my grandma, she didn't tell anybody until the day he passed. But he started calling out for my tia. Wow. He was sleeping and he would say, Carolina, Carolina, ay boy. And my grandma was like, what the hell? And when she told us, I was like, he was like falling asleep. I was like, there's no way that like he didn't either like see her. I'm a big believer in like all of that.
Yeah.
But I was like, like,
yeah, well, I mean,
it's real.
I'm not trying to make us cry anymore, but I mean, my dad has gone through like so many things, like health-wise, and he had his first heart attack when I was in 5th grade, and they did have to like re-alive him, or I don't know how else to describe it, but they used the defibrillators on him, and he does say, like, he's like, I felt like something was telling me, like, you have kids, and my little brother was a baby. And he was like, something was telling me, like, you have kids and you have to, but, so I do think that there's something so much bigger than us, like, regardless of what you believe in. And like I said, like, it could be good, it could be bad. It's who you are and depends on you. And, I think when it's your time, and you just let yourself go. And when it's not, you fight.
Yep.
And I think when it comes to ghosts or supernatural and stuff like that, it's like, it's either a wake-up call, something trying to tell you something, or someone that you did dirties back to get you.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Literally.
Regardless, it's a sign.
Yeah. But regardless, you don't go downstairs in the dark.
Oh, no.
Just don't.
And I don't
No.
girl, when I'm
Or
sleeping.
you don't put your feet.
No.
No.
I was sleeping and my hand, my fingers kind of fell over my
yeah,
bed.
no.
And I immediately went,
Yeah.
Yeah.
hell no. F
No,
that.
man.
No.
Not
Yeah.
me.
So you just don't do those
Yeah.
things, you know, but
Mm-mm. Yeah.
So, do you have a celebrity crush?
you see, I hate those questions. Remember?
Yeah,
I'm
you
not a
were
fan
just,
girl.
yeah.
But
no, let me
someone
think.
that you
Yeah,
think
yeah,
is like
yeah.
attractive.
Yeah.
Male, female.
Yeah, male, female, huh? I will say. I will say Michael B. Jordan. I think he's just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So like I
Mm-hmm.
think if we're doing like superficial aesthetic,
Yeah.
I'd say that.
Yeah.
But I will say like just like this because you said famous, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What's his name? Is it the guy in the new movie, the Wakanda Forever? What is his name? No, what's his name?
Let me look it up.
Sure.
The Aztec warrior.
This guy?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say like, ooh, yeah,
Yeah.
like you know, but his character in that
The movie. Yeah.
I was like, whoa. Like he was just so good where like you do feel attracted because you're just
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, you know, he was just so good. And so if you haven't seen it, see
He's
it.
a Mexican actor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we can talk for days, you know, but like I also thought it was really cool because Wakanda Forever like is Black directed and produced, and so it was super cool to see them reach out to someone that was, you know, part of the Latino community, but didn't look like they were
Yeah.
Russian or whatever, you know, like in our telenovelas. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but like,
Yeah.
why are they always white?
Always.
Yes.
Always.
And like, why are the brown ones cleaning?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell, right?
Do you got
Yeah.
time? Because that just goes into
The
some-
colorism.
Yes,
Yeah,
deep-rooted hate
everything,
within our
like-
culture.
Right? So I
crazy.
was so attracted at the fact that in that movie, he was so deeply rooted in his like ancestral pain and struggles where like what I find attractive is when a person, man or a female, like is so confident and like strong in their beliefs where they're like, I don't care how much I care about you. If you go against this, like
Yeah.
it's on, you know?
Yeah.
So in his character, he does that, you know, and he fights like literally to death to save his ancestors and his community. And I just thought, like, I was like, damn,
You're like, that's hot.
that's hot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's hot.
Yeah, because
that's
I mean,
hot.
you can do 500 push-ups, but
Yeah.
if your
Yeah.
brain is,
Yes. You got to stimulate
it
up
doesn't,
here.
yeah, it doesn't do it
Because
for
then
me.
nothing else. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
and I feel like Michael B. Jordan, you know, he's just like so pretty.
Just nice to look
Yeah.
at.
So- but he's not pretty. He's like hot.
Yeah.
I don't do pretty. Like I don't like pretty. Like if you're prettier than me,
No. Just like,
you know, I'm like, mm-mm. So I think Michael B. Jordan's like pretty, but like
Masculine.
yeah, like
kind of grungy.
that. Like yes, like I
Mhm.
like that masculine energy.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's my answer.
Love that.
Very layered, but that's my
No, I
answer.
love that. Okay, this is a little deeper, but how do you handle change?
I lose hair. Like my hair falls out. No, literally. Like my hair just starts falling out. That's how I know I'm stressed. I'm
You're
like,
like,
oh
oh,
my
yeah.
God. Change. The honest truth, like I kind of don't. Like that's literally the one thing that I need to work on. Like, you know, in my personal life and in my family, there's so much change going on, and you know, like just a lot of change, good and bad, but unfortunately, a lot of bad. And do with that information as you will, but you know, it's hard for me because I knew a family that was happy and perfect and, I never see my family, like cousins, never, ever, ever. So it's kind of like, damn, that sucks. And it's hard because growing up, everyone was so united and everyone was so happy and everything was so cool and good. And not just, I mean, that's not the only change, like so much change in general within yourself and everything around you. And I just don't do with it well. Like, I hate change. Like, I am a creature of patterns. Like, I like everything to be the same. And, like, that's also something I need to work on because it's like, if it's not doing you well, you got to let it go. But it's like the letting go part that it's like, but I'm not ready. I think the change, so two parts to my answer. I think the change that's not within my reach or like my control, I just keep reminding myself, like, I have no power over this. Like, I literally cannot change it. It's changing, but it's not my doing.
Yeah.
And I just have to remind myself every single day. Like, and I still cry. And, while I'm saying that, I'm like dying inside because you want everything to be perfect. You want everyone in your family to be perfect and happy. And it's like, but why not just do it? Or like, just fix this, or like, what about, and I am the glue, the one that always tries to put everything together. And that is so draining.
Yeah.
And that's so hard, to be the glue, to be the strong person, to be the, throw a punch and I'll be there. I'll take it. It's fine. As long as you're okay, as long as this doesn't change. It's so hard. I think the change that I am able to control, I think schedules. I'm like, okay, I want this to change. Like, for example, what I've been working on is waking up earlier and sleeping earlier. I am such a night owl. I will just go on and on with my ideas, and that's when I work best. But that's not healthy for you, And so I've been working on sleeping better. And so schedules. Like, I live on schedule. So what I do now is like, oh, I want to get a workout in, and then I want to do this and this and that. Okay, I'm going to book that class. So, like, now I have to go.
Yep.
And then I'm going to arrange a meeting with someone or, like, meet up to do work. And, because as an entrepreneur, you do your own schedules. And I struggle so hard with that. I struggle so hard. There'll be days where I'm just like, I didn't do anything. And I'm just dwelling in my thoughts. And I'm like over here. And I even check myself. I'm like, you're over here crying about not feeling like you're doing enough. Well, girl, get up. You're not doing anything. You're just crying about it and moping about it, And so sometimes you have to like check yourself. And it's like, well, yeah, you aren't doing enough. Like, it's okay to cry, but then like know when to snap out of it because it's like you will just go into this rabbit hole.
And I think the fact that you're saying you have to do that to yourself, that discipline, that is huge. Because I feel a lot of people, they kind of wait for someone else to be like, you should be doing this. Or like, okay, why haven't you done it? Like,
Don't forget, though, ask for help. Like, whenever you can't do it, like the getting up part, I hate it. Like, I hate it. So I tell Danny, I'm like, okay, in the morning when we wake up, instead of saying, hey, do you want to go on a walk? Say, hey, it's time for us to go on a walk. Yeah. Get ready. We're leaving in 5 minutes. Like, if you want to get ready, you should get ready now. Like, tell me instead of inviting, because I will always say no. And so, like, if you were to tell me, like, hey, this is what we're doing, this is our schedule for the day, like, I will do it. And so he's been better at that. Like,
he's been your accountability buddy.
Yeah, like my little coach. Yeah. Because and he did it this morning. He's like, hey, it's 7:30, like, at 8, let's go on the walk, and then we're gonna go buy our juices for the week, and we're gonna take Nala on a walk, then we'll be back at this time. Okay, cool. But like, I need that schedule. Yeah. If you tell me like, hey, we should do this, or like, hey, are you free? I'm like,
like, am I free?
I struggle in that like ambiguity of like not knowing what's coming next. So I think like working for myself, that's been the hardest part. Like, which I like self-diagnose. I'm like, I think I have ADHD.
Yeah.
But
TikTok told me I have ADHD.
right? I looked it up.
Yeah.
It keeps coming on my sponsored ads. No, but I honestly struggle in like focusing. I struggle in like getting work done. Like I leave it to the last second and it gets done well, but like you don't have to do that, you know?
Yeah.
So scheduling, I think for me, if I know I have to change something, if I know like we're moving out soon, so it's like, okay, I cleaned my closet. I took that out, you know, like checklist, like, all right. Now it's like mentally preparing myself, like, okay, we're moving out. Now we have to like go clear out our storage because, you know, we have to get ready. And so I kind of have to like prep myself like a kid, kind of like, you know, when you're little and like you go to school and you have like the schedule of the day. That's literally me. I need that. And Danny's opposite. Danny's like, I'm going to get things done. And like, he just does. And he's very like sectioned off, like most men, huh? It's annoying. And I'm just like, how do you do that? You know?
Like, what's happening?
Right.
So what's been your proudest moment thus far?
You know, I think it's the first market I ever did. Not the ones in my front yard. I think the one that I did at the restaurant parking lot. Because honestly, like I remember you being the first person I even like, other than my mom, that I was like, hey, do you think this is a good idea?
Yeah.
Like, would you be okay with this? You know, like, would you like do this? And you're like, yeah, I would. Like, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it is, you know? And like, I kept powering through, but so many times I was like, oh, this is going to go so bad. And after that day, I remember we had tacos, free tacos, like after, like as a celebration. And I was like, oh my God, like this went really good.
It was such a
and
good
I don't
turnout.
think at the moment I thought this could be something. But I remember feeling like a thought and a dream came to fruition, and it like was something better than I had thought. And that was the first time I felt that. And I think it's because I was always so like book oriented. I'm very like, you do X, Y, and Z, you know you're going to get this.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I did something where it was like, I have no idea what the outcome is.
You took a chance on yourself.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, like that was so cool.
Yeah.
And just seeing people come together and just like sharing space, like I think that was the proudest moment for myself. I wish I could say it was like getting my master's because that was so difficult, but it just wasn't. Like I didn't even walk. I mean, COVID also, but then they did another ceremony. I didn't even walk. I was like, that's just, I don't feel it.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm just going to walk without a purpose. Like I don't identify with what I did anymore. So, you know, I think that moment, absolutely. That was pretty easy.
Well, that segues into the next question, which is just how did you get started in entrepreneurship? Like you started with your small business. Like how did all that come about?
Yeah. It's so funny. So much has changed. So I started with like reselling like name brand goods. You know, I kind of dove into the business of like, the reselling. I would sell stuff like from Nordstrom and like all just very random stuff. And then I started selling jewelry, and then I was like, ooh, I like jewelry. I like doing that. So then we dove, and when I say we, it's my mom and I.
Yeah. And
then my sister was involved first, and we would sell clothing and jewelry and handbags and glasses, and like it was literally Nordstrom in there. And then I started doing more accessories, and I realized I really enjoyed jewelry and accessories. And then I started selling that more. And when COVID hit and when my dad was in the hospital because he had a brain accident, he's a big cyclist and wear a helmet. That day he didn't wear his helmet. he fell, flipped, and hit his head. And so he had like trauma to his brain. And then was like in induced coma for like he was just out for like over a month. And so it was during that time where I like really started to push myself to do these events. And I was like, I need to just get out. Like, I need to talk to people. Like, I need to just like not be in this like state where it's like the only time, like, I don't know if my dad's going to make it. I don't know when's the next time I'm going to see him, you know? And so that's kind of how it all started. Like, I was selling stuff and then it became more than that. And then I was like, like, my dad's still in the hospital. I need to also help my family financially. So then it kind of became like another resource.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when I was just selling, it was just me. And then when I invited people out to join me, that's when it became more of like a network. And it became more of like an avenue for me to like meet new people. Because it's hard to meet new people, especially when you don't go out and put yourself out like that. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Like, it's so hard to meet new people.
Yeah.
And it's like, where do you go?
Yeah, literally, where do you meet people?
Especially if you're not smiling to them. Right?
Yeah, that part. I was about to say,
How?
if you're
Like-
not approachable.
Like, if I'm looking down on my phone while
There
I'm
you
walking,
go.
how am I going to meet people?
Yeah.
You know? Or if you're in a serious relationship for years and, like, that is your person, that's your best friend, and it's like, how do I, like, meet more? You
Yeah.
know? So it became definitely like a place for me to meet new people, new faces, and network. And that's kind of how I started to realize, like, like people really risk everything for themselves. And I was like, interesting. I have no entrepreneurs in my life necessarily. Not immediately. Like, my dad now does work for himself. So I see that, like, and my dad's always like had that hustler mentality. But not necessarily in the way where it kind of guided me into my journey. And so, you know, I guess I just never really saw it in my family or like growing up. It was never really like a thing I saw or an option. But it wasn't until I started to meet different people within like the pop-ups and within like the front yard pop-ups or wherever it was where I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes I would even catch myself. I'd be like, we do this full time? Like, that's scary. Or like, really? You know? But now I'm like, good for you, you know? And like, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
And like, you found like your actual niche and you found what you love. And some people don't want that like $1 million home. Some people don't want to own a home. Some people don't even want a house. So they'll be okay living in an RV, and good for you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, my whole mentality, once I became an entrepreneur, I guess, is like success looks so different. And so every time, and I catch myself because I talk a lot, and I always tell people I'm a pusher. So like, don't ever tell me that you want to do something, because I will push you till you get there. And I'll be that like nagging friend. Like, that's just who I am, you know? And so I sometimes catch myself because it's like I tell people all these things and ideas and like push them. And sometimes I retract because I'm like, is that my goal? And am I trying to like live like in their spirit, you know? Or like, is that their goal?
Yeah.
You know? So I have realized that entrepreneurship looks so different for everyone. Some people do it to get by day. Some people want to build that empire, you know. Some people just want to be comfortable. Some people just never want to be told what to do. It just kind of, it depends why you started, you know.
It goes back to your core values.
Yeah, and your mission and just all these things, you know. And I think what entrepreneurship has done for me now is I'm working on creating a foundation, like a nonprofit. And I think that has always been something I've wanted to do. Like, I've always, you know, when people are like, oh, I want to help people, right? Like, I feel like that's definitely been me. But I just didn't know how. And even with the market, I'm like, okay, sometimes, you know, unfortunately, you can't control everything. And so I still feel like it's still a business. And so sometimes it's like, oh, like I love what I do, but still feels like a business. And I want to do something that like is, you know, not a business. But then it's kind of like, but then how do you get there?
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm working on starting a nonprofit where it's catered to first generation and undocumented vendors. And it's to create resources and relationships and, you know, being able to assist them to get to where their goals are as an entrepreneur. Because yes, it's difficult being a person of color and being in, you know, great America, whatever that means to you, and like finding your way to get there for this like prosperity and this like entrepreneurship like dream, but it's not pretty. It's ugly, and sometimes you lose money. You know, I know I'm like derailing at this moment, but I met with the owner of South LA Cafe
Okay, yeah.
last week, and we're just talking, and we literally we met for one purpose and then left saying, oh, we have to meet next week because we didn't talk about anything we're supposed to. And talking with that person, I was like, I need to go back to what my mission is, you know, and it was a thought. And I've always said, I want to start a nonprofit. And I always like said it because I don't want to forget it. But talking to her, I was like, you know what? That's it. I could have my business. I could flourish. I could do well. But in order to like feel that like, yes, like this is it, I haven't yet felt it. Okay. I feel it sometimes. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I'm like, yes, like I love this. But I'm like, there's more. There's something missing. So what I have envisioned and what I dream about is being able to provide different opportunities where I can have full-on events and like never charge vendors for certain locations, whatever it may be, to be able to provide these opportunities and having, you know, just having these resources for them and sponsorships and get them deals with like different companies. And that's what I want to do, to like have that self-fulfillment.
Yeah, pay it forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always say, like, you know how it's, you know, like, what is it? Like, hot girls don't gatekeep or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Pretty girls don't
Pretty girls don't gatekeep,
yeah.
right? But I think that's so true in every sense of the word, because it's like, if you learn but you don't teach, it's so useless. And I think as a Latina, especially as someone that is undocumented, and, you know, I feel like in my heart I will always be, no matter what, not teaching is one thing we have to change.
Yep.
Like, you know, I'm like, I will be damned if I become a citizen and I forget where I come from. Like, hold me accountable. Like, it's just like, that to me boils my blood. I'm like, you can never forget where you come from.
Yeah.
You know, and just stay humble. And like, it's okay to want nice things.
Yeah.
Don't make anyone feel guilty for, you know, flourishing and getting themselves nice things and doing nice things. Everyone wants different things in life. And just because, you know, now they have a new car or now they have this nice, good for them.
Yeah.
Right? It's like,
they worked for it.
Right. Like, don't hate. And don't, you know, like, reflect your own personal stuff onto other people. And teach others. Share. Like, it's so annoying and it's frustrating to see our community, just not all, but so many that are like, I figured out, I got here the right way, I worked hard, you do too.
Sounds like some of our parents sometimes. I definitely feel that.
And it's like, no, yo trabajé, like, I figured it out.
My life was so hard. Like, why should you have it so much easier?
Why are you stressing? There's nothing for you to stress about.
That's a trigger for me.
Right? And it's like, look, don't get me wrong. I do think that, like, I might get hate for it, but like, I do think you need to struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, because I have a lot of white friends that just have so much privilege that you're like, wow, you've never struggled a day in your life, and it shows.
And
you
they
know?
don't even like acknowledge their privilege.
Yeah.
No, and they're
It's,
never
like,
happy either with
that
what they
part.
have. I'm like, really? Like, what more do you want, right?
Yeah.
So it's like struggle to appreciate.
Yeah.
But I will, and I'm like, I know I want to be a mom. I don't know if it's like in my near future, but if I do, and whenever I do become a mom, like I won't have that like gentle parenting that's like in right now. Like that's just not me.
Yeah.
But I will say, when we first started this interview and I talked about like building this generational wealth, like I don't mean it in a way where like I want to like sleep on top of money on my bed. No, like resources. Like you should never struggle on how to apply to college. If that's what you want, do it. Also, if you don't want to go to college, that's also okay.
Yep.
Because we will have your back.
Yeah.
Like go figure out how to weld. That's cool.
No, literally. And I think, because I say this to my mom all the time, I have a lot of nieces and nephews that are in high school about to graduate. My mom always says, like,
Where are you going?
where are you going? Make sure to go to school. And I'm like,
Yeah.
don't tell them that.
Yeah.
I was like, because they have this mentality where, like, you go to school, you graduate, immediately you're going to get a great paying job. It's not like that.
not
And
like
school
that.
isn't for everybody.
Yeah.
If the amount of people that I met when I was at USC, trust fund babies, they could
Right?
give 2 Fs about what they were learning because they already knew they had a job secured.
Yeah.
They would just take their job, their
Yeah.
dad's job.
Their dad. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, there are people that don't care. And if you're not there to actually learn, school's not for everybody. So why are you going to force someone to go to school? They're probably not going to get anything out of it.
Yeah.
It's going to be a struggle for
Yeah,
them.
it's gonna be hell.
Yeah. And
It's
then,
not meant for people.
it's
like us.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say one thing though. Now I always tell my little brother, he's 18 now. He's so big.
oh my gosh.
I know. I'm like, oh, that's weird. But I always tell him, I'm like, look, if you don't want to go to school, cool. But you better be the best at what you do.
Yep.
I don't care what you do. If you cut hair, if you do nails, if you take whatever vocational career there is out there, be the best. Try your best. Do whatever you have to do because the world will always be against you, unfortunately.
Yeah.
In the entrepreneurship world, and you didn't go the traditional route. Unfortunately, we don't have a big blanket to save us, like you were talking about. And so it's like you better work your butt off for it.
Yeah.
So go to school if you don't want to.
Yeah.
But if you want something more and better for yourself, do it. But be ready
Yeah.
because it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
You're going to get a reality check for sure.
Real fast. And
Yeah.
so I think, moving forward, you have to, going back to my initial comment, like teach,
Yeah.
show people.
There's room for everyone.
That part. That's literally what I was
There's
like,
so
thinking.
much money out there
Yes.
and so many things where it's like there's enough for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, we were just talking about it yesterday. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes you want to be petty, and like sometimes so many people have tried to like bring me down, and sometimes I want to be like, you know what? Like I get slapped on the wrist for so many little things that I mess up on, where it's like I could easily say something about you, and I know what I'm doing is not bad, but yet I'm getting reprimanded for it. What you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you know, you know. And if you don't, oh, okay.
Yep.
But I'm just like, I'm not doing anything bad, but yet I'm getting all these calls from like health department, this and that. And I'm like, wow, I'm not, okay.
Yeah.
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 And so it takes a lot from me to be like, thank you for making me better. Cool. I didn't know I had to do that.
Yeah.
Now I'll do it.
Yeah.
But the fact that we try to take from others is not okay. And it's like, and it's always your people, unfortunately.
Yes.
And regardless of, what happens or what people do, like, again, sometimes, I mean, you'd be lying to yourself if you always say like, oh, I take criticism. Well, no.
No. Nobody
Sometimes
likes
I
to
wanna-
be told anything bad about
no.
themselves.
No, definitely not. And definitely not.
Yeah.
And I have been working so hard to just like not be petty, to just like take the punches and roll with them.
Yeah.
There are times where I'm like, but why?
Yeah.
Why do I have to? Why do I always have to be the bigger person?
Yeah.
I'm tired of being the bigger person, right?
I'm not always the bigger person. I sometimes will be like, sometimes it will get the better of me, but I don't take it to like the extreme.
Yeah. But you know what? It's difficult because I'm kind of stuck into paths where it's like I want to go back to making the market and my business more personable because I feel like I have lost a little bit of that. People don't really know the why. People don't really know me anymore. So I'm trying to bring that back. I'm working on it, or telling myself I'm working on it. But it's also like you can't think about yourself. You have to think about your business. And so sometimes I'm like, I want to tell this person this and this and that. Or I want to do this and just be super petty about it, but I won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know, again, no matter what, I'm not going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. Because at the end of the day, like we said, karma's so real.
Yeah.
And I believe in that
Me
so much. Like, forget about the ghosts.
No,
I know. It'd be like
karma will bite you in the ass.
Freaking.
It might not be in this. It might not be directly
Might
to
not
you.
be in this lifetime.
My mom always says, she's like, let the world do it. And sometimes it comes where it hurts you the most, and it happens even when you have children. Like it's in a different generation.
Right? You talk all this stuff about people you don't like. Your child's gonna be just like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
It reminds me of someone
Literally.
very close to both of us. And my whole life, I've always said, like, just know you're going to have only daughters because of how you treat women.
Period.
Only daughters. And I'm like,
only daughters.
I'm just waiting.
I'm like, sir.
Yeah.
And now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally. So I forgot what the question was.
Oh.
No, yeah, that
Nope.
was like, yeah,
Yeah,
how
like
did you
how
get
you got
started?
into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
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 And I think the way to stay in it is something I haven't figured out yet. And the way to succeed and flourish, I'm figuring it out.
Yeah.
But the way to get there is just taking risks and like being okay with not knowing everything. And literally, we were just talking about this. Your business or your entrepreneurship isn't successful if you haven't failed at least twice. If you haven't lost every penny you ever made from it. If you haven't like lost everything, or at least felt like you did.
Yeah.
If you've gotten there, you're getting close.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, you'd be damned if I'm going to make the same mistakes I made last year.
Yep.
Not again, you know?
Yeah.
But you don't know till you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to get that check.
What's that like saying where it's like, it's not failure, it's just like a life lesson.
Yeah.
And if like you don't learn anything from it, then that's the failure.
Mm-hmm.
Because then, like you said, you'll just make the same mistake twice.
Or that's a life lesson, like, that's not meant for you.
Yeah.
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see so many people that just like push and try to make something
Yeah.
work. And I'm like, is it for you though? You know? Like, have you guys watched that Netflix series, Selling Beverly Hills?
Oh yeah,
I
like
haven't.
selling Beverly Hills, yeah.
You know the daughter? Where
Yeah,
she's like
Monski.
struggling
Yeah.
and she's like, yeah.
And everyone tells her, "Are you sure this is meant for you?" But
Yeah. And then she's like, yeah, it is. Because like, what else, right?
Yeah.
And it's like,
That's all
we
I
all
know.
see it.
Yeah.
We all see it. It's not.
Yeah.
It could be so many other things, but it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
If you fail and you lose everything and you fall to the ground, but you realize like, damn, I should have done this. Or I wish I knew this. And you still keep going and then it gets better, then keep going because that's for you. And I think that part is what I wish more people shared. Because it's not easy.
It's not.
It's not cute. It's not, it's none of those things.
Yeah.
In the work I do, I think the biggest like aha moments is when people in the position that I'm working towards getting talk about their challenges and how they overcame it, or even like the challenges they're dealing with today. Because I feel like a lot of us have this mentality where like we see people in a position where we want to be, we're like, oh, they have their shit together. they just know how to fix all the problems. And then it's very refreshing when they're like, I still struggle. I learn every single day. Okay, that didn't work. Let me try this. And there's always going to be something that you're going to have to work on or relearn or try again. Like,
Yeah.
there's always something.
Yeah. And, you know, another thing that I'm trying to work on more is like in that aspect of sharing. I feel, and like teaching, I feel that I kind of suck in like like I'm willing to share, but then I'm like, how do people have access to me though? Because I'm like, when you have access to me, like ask me what you want and I'll tell you how to get there, or I'll tell you where to go or what to look up or what to Google. Or if I don't know, Danny taught me, so he can tell you.
Yeah.
But it's like, how do I get started with that conversation? You know? And so I think one thing that's an easy fix, because I could say, oh, I want to host workshops and I want to do it. Yeah, that's a dream, right? Or that's a goal. But like, what can I do right now? Again, I'm going to try to post more. I'm like something as simple as like going on lives and like talking to people and teaching them like things that I've learned, like, you know, just being more vulnerable in that sense is something I want to do, because I think that's a quick and easy way for me to do that giving back, or for me to just be open to sharing more. Because I think that's so important.
Yeah.
It's so important. And it's sometimes hard because you're also like, but do people even care? Or do people even want to know? And I have worked, because I also kind of suck at like knowing when to shut up. Like sometimes people, and I learned to ask, like, do you want my opinion or do you want me to just hear you out?
I say that all the time.
You have to.
Because I'm not the one that's going to, I'm not a yes man. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm just going to tell you how I see it and like my true and honest opinion.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah, same.
So be ready when you ask me a question.
Yeah. And so now I ask, and I'm like, hold on.
Are you
Like,
sure
are you actually asking me, or are you just telling me?
Yeah.
Like, it's okay, but like, and sometimes they'll be like, no, tell me. And I'll tell them. Then like, I'm like, tell me.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes the reality of life is a little harsh. I do think that, you know, this past year where I just struggled a lot, like emotionally and like just within myself and my own identity, like I think a lot of it was just me being a baby about it. And like, I know that my life was going through a lot of change and I know it sucked. But when you really look at it from an outsider perspective, it's like, I pay my bills. I'm able to give myself what I want. Like, my family's alive. Not always perfect, not always like the healthiest, but they're alive. They're healthier than they were before, so that's good, you know. And I think that appreciation part, like just learning how to be like appreciative of the little things, instead of like always feeling like it wasn't good enough or you wanted more or whatever it may be. And so yeah, I think that sometimes people don't want to hear that, but it's like, yeah, your life sucks, but it could be so. And don't get me wrong, you have every right to feel what you feel. Every right. Everyone has a right to think that their problems are the worst problems in the world. You have every right to.
Yeah.
But the reality of it, once you walk out that door, there's somebody working harder than you, faster than you, smarter than you, anything. And it's like, how do you compete with that? Right? And if we're dealing with all these like insecurities and like generational traumas, then it's like, how do I get where I want to be? Do I stay at home and cry and like say like, oh, why?
Yeah.
Just sitting here? Or do I take a step back and do the dirty work? Sometimes, you know, it's easier to feel bad for yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Trust me, I was like, I'm still kind of there sometimes, you know, and it's like,
Same.
you just gotta get over it.
Yeah. And I think something that, again, I've learned from work is we're really big on collaboration. And that was a tough thing for me to like grasp, because I'm very like
competitive.
No. I'm so used to like having to just figure shit out on my own. Head down, I'll just work. But at work, they're very much like, we collaborate, and they're more so about like focus on your strengths and hone in on those. So like one of my big strengths is relationship building. And in the last year, I've grown so much within my development because I've been able to use my strengths in relationships to meet people, to teach me things that are my opportunities. So that's like honing in on your strengths, but then working on your opportunities and asking for help.
Yeah.
So it's like a balance of both.
Yeah. And I think we all need to start focusing on our strengths, less on our weaknesses, and just like make ourselves so good at like what we're good at to the point where like your weaknesses are okay. Because then you'll be able to ask for help because you know that what you know is so valuable and so strong that people will then ask you for help.
Yep.
Yeah.
But if you don't feel confident in anything that you do, then what?
You're fucked.
Then what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like if you don't know anything to a perfection.
It has to be a give and take. Like you can't be like, I need help with this, this, and this, and you provide nothing back.
Right?
It doesn't have to be monetary. It could be anything. But as long as you're
something.
Yeah, you have to fill someone else's cup.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So we kind of went into that. Like, how did you get the idea to create Angel City Market? Obviously, you started in the front yard and it went from there, and now you are in different places. Like you're in Downey, you're in right? Like in Long Beach. Yeah.
We're in Hollywood.
Yeah, and like
Oh my gosh.
you're everywhere, and it's grown into this huge market, and you've helped so many small businesses. So how did that idea just start?
Yeah. I guess it started because of that mission. Like I wanted to be able to help people find a way, because I always felt like, I don't know if you felt that way, but I always felt like, okay, when I did sell things more, like where do I go? Like how? Like if I don't have a store, how do you do it?
Yeah.
And so I guess it started like that. It started like with me just wanting to share or like create a space where like it was okay. And then it kind of went into a space where it was like, I want to create something where people could sell and felt safe, but also be able to have locations and opportunities where people and vendors wouldn't normally have.
Yeah.
So, I struggle though sometimes because my mission is to give back to my community. And, unfortunately, sometimes people just don't support in that mission necessarily. And so I do struggle sometimes with that because it's like people still very much have this like, ooh, but that's in the ghetto, And it's like,
Bruh.
okay, like we have like a multi-billion-dollar stadium down the
Yeah,
street.
literally.
But okay. So I struggle with it a little bit. And I think I needed a year because we did take a break from there. And I think I needed a year to like really rebuild what I wanted from that, And so actually starting February 11th, like every vendor space there is free of charge.
Oh,
Like
wow.
if you sell there, you don't pay a penny. Wow. And I want to start that. Like I want to go back to my mission and be like, I'm, giving back, but also just literally giving an opportunity because I also see and I am very aware of like other markets and including myself where it's like we do have to pay our bills and like rent isn't cheap for these places. So it's like it sucks because sometimes I do feel like almost like a fraud because I'm like, oh, like I know, like I wish I could give more, but like I learned the hard way that when you give, it it backfires.
They take.
Yeah.
And it backfires. And then you realize, damn, now what? Now who's here? Nobody, So so that's a step into that direction. And, I think it's changed a little bit. Like my mission, and I guess I'm going back to it, where I did want to give back. I wanted to be a part of my community where it was like in a different space, and provide also something fun for my community to do.
Yeah.
And then it kind of moved into like, I want to still do that, but then I also want to be in spaces and locations where you as a vendor or as a person would have never thought you would have the opportunity to be at. So the one I'm like really excited about is in Pacific City. It's like oceanfront,
Oh.
Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And I'm like, as a vendor myself, I'm like, I would love to have a store here, but
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like, literally. But if I could give you 6 hours in a month to give you that piece of like what it would feel like to take up space there, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I have plans to do a location that's like very, very expensive and big and popular and like the biggest one in LA even. I'm working on that. And so, some might be like, oh, now she's in bougie places or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but my mission's still the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, I'm not forgetting.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But I also need people to support too.
Yeah.
Because it's like sometimes people are like, oh, like, maybe some people might think like, oh, she's like money hungry now, or like she's focusing on this, or maybe, right? But then it's like, but are you supporting when when I do have locations that are in a community that needs the help?
Yeah.
Like, are you there? Or are you going to the fancy spots?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, there are a lot of locations that have all these cool events and they're all pretty, but like, that's cool. Support that too.
Yeah.
But when we are fulfilling our mission, or at least trying to, that's where I see where it's like we do struggle with the support.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's like, well.
Yeah, where was that same energy?
At the beginning too. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, yeah, like we're not influencers. Like, yeah, we can't afford to bring them out either because let me tell you.
Yeah.
But it's like, if our community just supported, that's all we would. And what I like to do that I say is different about my market is like, you'll see your mom selling artesanías. You'll see, like people that literally won't even know how to like work Zelle sometimes, and I'm just like, you're helping someone's dream, like literally.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that's different from us. Like, we have like very savvy, very popular, very trendy vendors, but then we also have like people that have some awesome things and just people don't know about.
Yeah.
You have hidden gems.
Sometimes I'm like, where is your QR code? And they're like,
¿Qué es eso?
yeah. Como, or like I will, and I'm also working on having my applications be in Spanish and like just accessibility. Like, are you able to read my applications, But I also don't want to put something out there that's poorly made. And I know that, we might not always be the most successful or be the biggest or be the best or whatever it may be, but I know that we have no intention in like being the best or the most successful either. I always say, like, if you're a vendor with me, your goal should be to outgrow me. You shouldn't be here every week or every month. If you want to, cool. But like, you should be opening a store, or you should be at a bigger, better place. Good for you, So yeah, I don't also think that my goal is to be the most popular or like be the biggest or be the best market out there.
I love that.
I just think that we're just different. We have a very interesting diversity.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Like, since the beginning, everything's so diverse, like how you just said. It's you have all type of vendors.
Yeah.
Whether it comes to food, clothing, like there's so many boutiques out there, and yet each one is still different in their in their own way.
And the time I take to make sure that they're all getting love is also a part where like I refuse to give that up. Sometimes I have to for locations, but I'm like, no, like you all, again, we said there's money to go around. There's
Yep.
plenty of, space for success for everyone.
Yeah.
And I guess if I could give vendors any tips or advice is like, it doesn't matter if there's another boutique there.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if there's 2 dessert vendors. It
Yep.
doesn't matter if 2 people sell cupcakes.
Mm-hmm.
People will invest in you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Like, I like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this will be for this person or,
Yeah.
whatever.
Mhm.
And it's like, we have to, as a vendor community, as a Latino community, whatever community you're a part of, like, we have to stop feeling like people are taking from us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just be open to collaborating rather than like always feeling like they're taking something from you, or the moment you share like where you get something or what. I'm like, you think no one else knows?
Yeah, I know exactly. Like it's it's everywhere.
There's a difference where it's like, can you tell me where, how much that is?
Yeah.
How do you set this up? Who do you talk? I'm like, also do your homework.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like, let me know how I can help.
Yeah.
You know,
So so we're cutting it close to time, so I'm just gonna jump to the last question.
Yeah.
So this is something we're gonna do with all of our guests. So our podcast is named El Efecto, which means like impact, and we kind of just want to ask, like, what does that mean to you, and how do you kind of carry that and implement that in the work that you do?
Yeah, so impact. Well, I think if I could impact any person that might be stuck juggling like a 9 to 5 and entrepreneurship life and not knowing how to get there, I always say, like, if you're not ready, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if I can impact anyone's life, regardless if they're a vendor or small business, whatever they are, to just take that risk and take that leap of faith and start realizing that people want to support them, I think that is the biggest impact I can give. Sometimes, like, we're so deeply rooted in our, like, insecurities where, you know, I've talked to a lot of vendors and a lot of people where they're nervous, they're scared, they're anxious, they're this and that. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
Like, what you have is awesome. And sometimes they don't see it. And so if I can share that, or if I can in any way impact them in that sense, like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And not only are you like in, Angel City and you impacting small business and vendors, but you're impacting like the consumers, your community. Like you brought it, you started it in Lenox, and like La Feria, when people think like if you're from Lenox and Inglewood, they're like, oh my God, La Feria. Like who would have thought? Yeah. So it's just like, it's crazy. Like when they're that community, they're like, oh my God, we have something so cool here. Like, let's go. I'm never going to forget like the line being I'm like, oh my God. And like people that I know, like my mom's friends, like, oh my God, miraste el pop-up? Yeah, like, cada rato voy a estar ahí, and like, so you're not only impacting the vendors, like you're impacting the community, the consumers. Like you're bringing something that every single person's going to like. If it's not for one person, there's going to be a vendor that's for someone else, like, you know? So I'm like, I think that's so cool.
You definitely also impacted me because before Angel City, I never really shopped small businesses. And then once I went to Angel City, I literally remember that first pop-up with Melly. I was like, bitch,
there are so many cool stuff.
I was just shocked.
Hurts your pocket.
I didn't realize like how many small businesses.
Even if you're there selling.
No, literally. She would like, I'll be back. But it definitely made me more conscious to be like, okay, shop smaller. Because it's like, I feel like it's a direct impact to them versus like a huge corporation.
And then just having other vendors there, like within each other, like supporting each other, like like you said, learning from each other. And then you've met, like I met so many people from there too, till this day. Like, and I'm sure you have obviously as well. So it's just having those relationships still.
It's really cool. And I use them for my wedding, and I use them, like I use all my vendors for my wedding, and it was really cool. And, when you mentioned impacting the community, that's so true. And thank you for mentioning that. Like, I totally forgot about that. Like, that really was, I was like, why do we always have to leave? You know, like if you're from there, like, you
Yeah.
know, what do you do?
Yeah.
There's not, you don't even have like actual restaurants there.
Yeah.
You don't have anything.
Yeah.
Literally. It's like a fun desert.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, yeah, I did strive to bring something different.
And you brought toy
cool.
drives. Like you brought a lot
Yeah.
of things.
You know, and that's the other part, you know, like, and for whoever's watching also, it's like this year we really need your support, because I feel like this year is full of growth and like I feel it already, and we're getting bigger and better. Like this Thursday is the grand opening for our downtown Downey market, and we're closing off 2 whole streets in the downtown Downey area, like where Porto's is at.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That
like
area
that
is
whole
crazy.
street is being closed off, and it's going to be like a literal street fair.
Oh.
I'm working in collaboration with the Downtown Business Association. I'm their like event manager there. And so I'm like, this is, even though Downey's so different from Lenox, Downey's still a city where like they have so much, it's like, oh, you have so much potential, you know? It's like a city where they're still kind of like older. They're just like, you have like cool restaurants, but like what else?
Yeah.
Right? So they don't have a night market. And so we're bringing Thursday night markets every second and fourth Thursday. And that to me, like closing off the street and like knowing that we're going to be there and taking up that space, like that just ignites like a whole different like aspect and like impact for me.
Yeah.
And so this past year, 2022, I had a few toys donated, and then I had to like put some in, and we figured it out. It wasn't a huge outcome, but what I did was I went on the Lenox in Solidarity page, which is like a Facebook group if you grew up in Lenox. And so I posted there that I was like outside the what used to be Top Value. Now it's like Uno Market or something like that. So I went out there. I stood out there next to my car, and I literally had like a big bag or box, those like donation boxes. And I just had toys. And like I posted it on there, and like whoever showed up took toys. And there was like this teenage girl that impacted me so much, because she took one, but it was like for a little girl. And I said, "Is that for you?" Because I had some teenager stuff. And she's like, "No, it's for my little sister." And I said, "Take one for you." She was like, "Are you sure?" I said, "Absolutely. Are you kidding me?" And I told her, I was like, it's Christmas. You deserve one too.
Yeah.
Like, take one.
Yeah.
So she took 2 toys. And so this year, like, I'm working hard to fulfill all these goals for myself. But, like, I also need people to show up for our community, you know, and because, you know, we say like, oh yeah, that's cool, or good, like you're doing awesome, but it's like, but you could too.
Yeah.
Because you can't complain that things aren't getting better
if you're not doing anything.
if you're not doing anything about it.
Yep.
So hopefully this year, I feel like this toy drive of this past year was very personal. I hope that this year, you know, we're able to do something really big and great. And, you know, I'm very, now that my mission is refocused and that I'm like working hard to like get over all these personal issues that you have, you know, and like stop feeling sorry for myself or stop worrying about people feeling bad for me. You know, I am like, oh, I don't want to ask for help because like, what are people going to think? Or I don't want people to be like, like boo-hoo, you know, who cares?
Yeah.
You know? And so this year it's like, no, like I want everyone to be out there, like donating and helping me rap too.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just like,
she's like, ladies, you
No,
better
no,
get
I'm
ready.
like, where y'all at?
you're self-volunteered.
I'm
This
like,
was so good. I feel like I learned so much about you.
Yeah.
Like beyond surface level.
Yeah, 100%.
And like,
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I can't even talk.
I'm working on it. It's hard.
No, yeah. Like everything. I was like, oh my God. I like a lot of this stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't. Like I never expected that, you know, or I didn't know that. But it's not because you're judging someone, but it's just like, oh, damn, like I've always like, I do look up to you. And I was like, damn, like she fucking like has it all. She's doing it, you know? And I know obviously like the events, you know, not the events, but like this, events and the market that you throw, like I'm sure there's so much to it.
Yeah.
So it's just,
No, like
hearing
last
that.
year there was days where like I just couldn't get up.
Yeah.
Like I
It'd
would
be
go
like that sometimes.
a week without washing my hair. Like it was bad and it was
Yeah.
gross. And it's like, and now when I don't feel that way, I'm like, I'm gonna cherish this. Forever.
Yeah.
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 Oh.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much
For being
here.
a
Dude, this is really good.
Yeah.
Like there's so many times when you were talking, I was just like, damn.
Like, same.
Yeah, literally, I'm like, wow. It's just
Yeah.
crazy. Like you just never know
Yeah.
what other people are going through or how they think. So I'm so glad that you came on and you were able to share a little bit more about yourself.
And this is a reason why we want a segment like this,
Yeah.
because people are going to hear, like, this is what happens behind the scenes, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
Efecto.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what a great way to like start like being more vulnerable and like
Yeah.
talking about myself, because I feel like what I do becomes my personality. So it's like I never talk about myself. I talked about the market very little today. And I think
we got to know
You.
Kenya.
yeah, and I literally, as I was driving, I was like, talk about you.
You're like, keep
Because
it in mind. Yeah.
I'm
good.
I'm so like goal oriented and like work motivated, where it's like that's who I am, and I want that to change because it's like there's more to me,
Yeah.
and people just don't know.
And you definitely, you shared that today. So
Yeah.
thank
Thank
you.
you
Thank you for being
so
part
much,
of it.
dude. So good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you Kenya again.
Yeah.
We're gonna have all of her socials,
Socials.
Angel City Market, all the details down below.
Yes.
And remember, you guys got to show up for the community.
Yes.
Our 2-year anniversary is this Saturday.
God.
So it's gonna be 2 years, and so you know, it's not always pretty and perfect, but we're still there. So
Yeah.
there's
We love
there's
it.
a purpose still.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's still so much. Well, thank you guys. We will see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.